Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them, and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking
Yeah.
through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes, get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN. It's the trilogy.
Isn't it like the quadrology by now?
Isn't this our third one?
I feel like it's our seventh.
I think this is Death Rituals and Traditions 3.
Okay. I'll believe you because you remember stuff like that. But Mel, before we talk about death traditions, I have to talk to you about something else. Can I?
Am I in trouble?
No.
Okay, then I'm all ears.
Last night, I was going to go to bed, but instead, what did I do? I turned on Netflix. And the first show that it served up to me, I can't even remember what it was called now. It's called like All in the Family. And I read the description and it was like a selfish movie star can't help but fall in love with his assistant's widowed mom. And I was like, okay. So I started
Huh.
watching it. It was the worst movie ever. Ever.
Because of the widowed part or the selfish guy part?
The all of it. I was like, how did this movie get made? And it had Nicole Kidman in it. And what's the guy from High School Musical?
Zac Efron?
Zac Efron.
Wait, does Zac Efron fall in love with Nicole Kidman?
Yes.
So she's a mega cougar.
Uh-huh.
I mean, go Nicole.
Yeah, but it was so the whole plot was that he had been terrible to all the women he'd ever met, and the daughter of Nicole Kidman was his assistant, and he was like a jackass to her all the time. So she quit, and he came to her house to like ask her to come back and ended up falling in love with the mom. And the daughter was like, "No, he's a jerk." And she was like, "Let me find love again." And everybody's like, don't get in her way. And I'm like, but he's a jerk. And then in the end, they were in love. And the daughter was like, I'm so sorry I got in your way.
Was he ever nice to Nicole Kidman?
Kind of, but it was like the 15 minutes that he was nice to her erased all the terrible things he had been in the past.
Okay, so I have a book for Nicole Kidman's character. It's called Codependency No More.
The dad had been dead for like 11 years. So it was not like a rebound, quote unquote. Like, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I should have prefaced all that with spoiler alert. But also, if you watch that movie, please tell me that I'm not crazy. And that was so bad.
I'm intrigued. I kind of want to watch it now.
Okay, please do. And then you can be like, what? Widows, don't do this. I mean, I wanted to fall in love with Zac Efron, and so that's why I watched it, but I don't know.
I shared a trailer with Zac Efron for High School Musical 1,
And
2,
but
and 3.
you weren't a widow yet, so
Nope.
it didn't like have that Hallmark feel to it.
And because it was High School Musical, that's when he was just barely getting famous because of that. So
Was he like even 18?
probably not.
Okay, so yeah, it wouldn't have worked
He was nice
anyway.
though.
Okay.
I know he loves water. Have you seen that? Have you seen that show where he
I
goes around the world and like deals with water? I feel like your dad, Randy
I
Randall,
was
would
just
love
gonna
it.
say my dad would love that. I haven't watched it, but I've seen that it's a thing. So
All
I don't
right.
know.
Well, did you know Randy Randall is going to help me build something yet again?
No.
Well, he is. I got to call
Cool.
him back, but I'm kind of scared. Because last time I called, he was at the doctor, and I think he answered when he didn't mean to, and I'm traumatized. I can't unhear any of it. That's all I'm going to say. I will
I
say
shall
no
say no
more.
more. Anything else happening exciting in your life, Mel?
Yes,
What?
at the release of this podcast, I will already be in Carmel, Indiana, getting ready for the Great American Songbook Academy, which I do every year. It's going to be fun. I'm there for 2 weeks this time.
Are you not usually?
Nope. It's
Oh,
usually like 10 days, but they're, uh, spoiler alert, because nobody here cares at all. We are adding some instrumental
no.
things. Yes, and I get to be in charge of the students of
That's fun.
instrumental, the band kids.
Okay. Is
I'm
anybody
going,
going to play the tambourine?
you are kind of going to come out and be the mentor. Also, I'm going to hire your son to bring his tuba.
Which he has practiced 0 times during the summer. In fact, I was gone for a few days and my sister-in-law stayed here and she kind of cleaned up his room and she took his tuba from its side and just put it on its end. And he was like, "Where's my tuba?" And she's like, "It's right in front of your face, but I just put it up so it doesn't take up your whole floor." And he was gobsmacked. He just couldn't figure out how that had happened.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to be surprised, but I swear I have this problem. And with you saying this, I'm wondering if because your son and I have similar brains,
Uh-huh.
that this is a thing. I have a really hard time being able to see things when they're not where I put them.
Oh.
Even
Hmm.
something like insanely big, maybe not a tuba. I feel like I would see that, but maybe not. But does he have that?
Maybe.
Is it like he knows where everything is in the chaos?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay, never mind.
No.
I do.
No. No.
Okay, he's just a teenage boy and he's
Yeah.
himself, which is the
Yeah.
best. Okay. Okay, so never mind. Here's something else. Did I tell you I learned this about my brain? Because I lose stuff when I can't see it as well. So if it's not in the chaos where I know where it is, or if it's put away nicely, I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up buying a lot of
The
duplicates,
same thing.
triplicates.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I've hacked my brain to be able to be organized with my clothes or anything similar, everything has to be in like a cubby, but not in a box in a cubby. So now I have no drawers.
Like visible in a cubby.
Yes,
Hmm.
which means I have cubbies in my room and I fold all the stuff and I have to see it all. And then I know what I have. And then with my shoes, they're all in clear boxes that I can see.
Oh, that's smart. I am just disorganized and I throw stuff away that I shouldn't. I just had to dumpster dive to look for some receipts that I really needed. It was terrible.
Oh,
So, Mel, last time we talked, how's Finn? Like the whole eyeball situation. What's up with that?
you guys, my dog can see.
It's a miracle.
It's a July miracle. Okay, it was a little intense getting him down there, doing all the things. He has a bajillion eye drops. He has to be pretty sedated for 3 weeks. this week is the end of the 3 weeks, so I think he gets to not have his cone anymore. But he's been a trooper. He's poor guy. He just wants to run, but he can't run. So you know how you asked me, how does it work with dogs? Because with a retinal reattachment, you can't do what humans do, like 15 hours face down. And
Yeah.
the surgeon talked about this too. She's like, the only way is just to make sure that they're like sedated as much as possible in a cone and as confined, as much as possible. But you can take them on walks if they are short and slow walks. And, dogs, they get up and they shake when they shake their head too. You can't really do much about that. But they said just make sure that he's not grabbing stuff like a toy or playing like tug of war or anything like that. That's similar to like head banging at a rock concert. And he doesn't do that anyway. So I feel like the healing's been going great. If anyone needs a recommendation for a vitreoretinal surgery for dogs in California,
Why wouldn't you?
forever.
Yeah.
Well, also our vet here goes, honestly, if even if I lived across the country, that's who I would go to because she's the best. So super happy, very efficient. She gave me a color-coded medication schedule.
Oh, that's
It's
nice.
amazing. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question.
What?
So when they do a dog eye test, they like stand them 15 feet back and they're like, read the letters. And the dog's like, woof, 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 woof.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
The other thing, which is kind of funny, I asked, I'm like, how do you know if he's like blind? Like, obviously he's clear in the eyes because the cataracts are gone. But how do you know if he can see, like,
further back? Yeah.
Yeah. And they go, it's the dumbest test ever. You just pretend you're going to poke their eye and get close enough. And if they blink, then they can see. Like, okay. I don't know.
That's $10,000, Mel.
I know. And then I think if they want to check further on how the retina is doing or like with amplitude of the eye, they would have to put them under. I'm kind of just hoping it worked and I don't feel like spending any more money. But here's something that's funny. To self-soothe with spending all the money and doing all the things. And
you bought something.
I did. I bought it.
Feel better.
My first real bass amp that's a real bass amp, which is not cheap. Because I just figured, you know what? If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out literally with a bang. Might as well have some subwoofer. And I need it. Like my other amps broke. And guess what? I am going to do more bass playing. I have some gigs lined up.
Seriously?
At Witchapalooza in October. It's a witch show.
It's for witches?
Basically.
Like real witches?
If anybody is in Utah, the Salt Lake area, during parts of the end of September and all of October.
And happen to be a witch.
And if you want to dress up like a witch and watch people do witch shows and sing and dance, it's like theater. It's like Gardner Village. Let me know. Come and see me and be my friend. Because I might suck. I'm subbing for my friend Mark that also plays tuba but plays bass in the show.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. Speaking of people being in Utah, Audrey stopped by my house while her car was charging. It was so fun.
I'm jealous. And how did she get a hold of you?
She sent me a message
on Facebook?
Yeah.
This is where I don't shine because I get overwhelmed with notifications. So I'm bummed out I didn't get to see her, but I'm so happy.
Yeah, she was only here for as long as her car had to charge. So it wasn't like hours and hours and hours.
How long does that take?
I don't know.
Well, how long was she at
She
your
knows.
house?
I don't, I also don't know, but I can tell you this: it's complicated. Those like if you have to go on a road trip with a car that you charge, it's way more complicated. So like there are charging deserts, so you have to strategically charge to get to where you're gonna go. So anyway,
I have a hybrid and
oh yeah,
I would love to have an electric, full electric. And I've actually thought of Audrey because I know that she has fully electric. And I worry about that. That's actually like the main
yeah.
reason why I didn't get an electric. Cause I'm like, what if I have to drive to California with a dog and for eye surgery?
Well, there happens to be a charger that's like 2 blocks from my house, just FYI, but
Where is it?
also
At the jail?
the Davis County Courthouse.
Okay.
I know, like by the library and then like the old school courthouse.
Audrey, that's so cool. You got to see Anita. And Anita, I'm jealous.
Yeah,
Audrey's
you
the
should be.
best.
Mel, should we
What?
get to our episode topic today?
You guys, you might notice that right now our commercials are all the same. It's because we're disasters and they're just the same all the time. But if you hate them and you don't want to hear commercials at all, join our Patreon because you can get ad free.
I can't listen to them.
Also, do you find this now that everything is so on our phones even more? Every single thing you go to has like 8 pop-ups because you have to like redirect here, redirect here. Oh, accept cookies. Oh, so by the time you
Uh-huh.
get to the thing, I'm like, it's not like you can just pull up a site and it's like, there's the beautiful site or, you know,
Yeah,
sites have pop ups. It's like messing with my brain. I want to go back to a flip phone, actually, no phones.
that's why you missed Audrey. The flip phone.
Audrey, I need to just, okay, Audrey, will you message Anita and she can give you my number and just text me? I have a 50-50 chance on if I see my phone.
The phone, but not the flip
It's
phone.
hard because I mean, you know how our attention is people going through recovering from death or trauma or any sort of hard thing, or even maybe not recovering from something. It's just overwhelming. Our attention is so many different places. And do you find that that's hard for you you just have so many interruptions?
Yeah, that's why I throw things away I shouldn't throw away, and then I have to dumpster dive for them. Yes.
How, how do
I
you
also
think this
wonder
is
about
going to
other things.
go in the future? Because
Terrible.
I wonder if it will continue to be this way or if, because it's like this is all a nice little experiment to giving technology to all of us peasants, seeing what
We could have a
happens.
whole other episode about how like I wonder about like menopause and perimenopause,
Oh,
like
I
how
need that.
that's gonna go. So like that's a whole different topic because I sometimes wonder about that too. I'm like, maybe that's happening too. And so that's why I'm also a disaster. So I think there's a lot of things intersecting. But we like talk about that in depth one day.
Do we have someone to talk to us about it? Because
No.
I have my own experience that was like in Australia, you saw it.
No, I we need to find somebody who's like knows that stuff.
Bodies, you guys, bodies are hard and life is hard. And pop-ups and notifications make me want to actually go insane. So hopefully we can make it through life.
That's the hope. But
What?
Mel, I'm gonna talk to you about more death traditions now. When
Oh,
we last left off, do you remember what we were talking about?
I have no idea. Well, I
This
body farm.
no, the Zoroastrians, remember?
Ah, yeah. Wait,
Yes,
let's
because
do let's do a fancy little intro. Da 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 da. Everybody, we will now shut up and talk about more things.
shut up and talk more.
Okay, Anita, I'm ready now.
Okay, so last time we were talking about the Zoroastrians, which, for the record, have the coolest ideas that are just insane. So remember the bull urine, the four-eyed dog barking.
The four-eyed black dog.
I don't think it had to be black, it just had to have four eyes, which seems like enough of a,
Mm.
specific type of dog. All right, so we're not going to go over that again, but that's where we left off. So next we're going to talk about hired funeral wailers. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
Okay, so in China, there's people who are professional mourners or professional wailers. and they are paid to present the eulogy at the funeral, and they're supposed to weep and sing. And um, there's three things that must happen for these people who are paid. First, they have to have real tears. Okay.
Oh, so these are actors.
Yes.
That's hard.
Yeah. I mean, poke yourself in the eye. I don't know. So even though everybody knows it's not real, I know. Mel was poking me in the eye via Zoom. Everybody knows that they're not real mourners, but the real tears are required for expressing sadness for the person who has died. All right. Sometimes the professional wailers are also there to organize the funeral and to like, so it's like your funeral director also does the crying. Can you imagine that? That'd be so funny. Anyway, okay. The second
Mine
thing,
did cry because my funeral was sad.
person. Yeah. Well, okay. Maybe they're
Well,
like half professional wailers because it's not expected, but maybe they just know how to do it.
yeah.
Okay. And then the second thing is the crying should not interfere with other parts of the funeral. So it's got to be big and loud and excessive, but not too excessive.
How do you quantify that?
And no idea. No
Hmm.
idea. But I think that I don't know. Um, this is the best wailers present themselves as the most wretched, meanwhile, staying the calmest at heart, making sure all pieces of information are delivered, emotions are communicated to an appropriate degree, and nothing is out of control.
These don't live in the same
I
sentence.
know. I want to go see it. It sounds cool. I actually listened to like I think it was This American Life, and they had a story about this. So, like, I think it still happens.
And is this only in China? This
I
particular
I
variety of
I
whalers?
believe so. Yeah.
Because I know there are other kinds of whalers in other places.
Oh,
Did you know
I
that?
want. Well, we've talked a little bit, and we're going to talk more about like jazz funerals. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yes. Okay,
the
we're going to get there.
best.
Okay. The third is that you must move people with your wailing. So just like actors, whalers seek it's whalers. They're not people who kill whales. Seek to reach the deepest parts of your soul by arousing emotions.
Oh, I hate that word for anything that's not that. Okay. Um, cool. Will you be a whaler at my funeral with the bounce house going in the
I
background?
I will commit to whale, but that I don't think I can commit to those three parts of the performance. There sounds very difficult.
I don't think you'll cry. You're not a crier.
I'm not much of a crier, but I'll try. You have to pay me $450, which apparently is the going rate.
It's a gig, yeah.
Yeah. So 450 buckaroos. Well, that's probably in Chinese money, so I don't know
Is
if
it a
that's
day rate or is it like a hourly, like from 1 to 4 or something? Because
that I do not know, but I kind of think it's like a wedding planner where you pay them for their services, no matter how long it takes, maybe. I don't know. Is that how wedding planners work? I don't even know.
I think
Uh,
it's like events. There's a fee and then they add stuff on top, but it's like a day rate. I know with band stuff for that, it's morphed into day rate. It depends. It
yeah.
depends.
Okay. So there you go. That's the professional mourner. Um, the Philippines, that's where like there's so many islands, and so there's tons of different death practices that happen there or happened there, um, all in kind of a small geographical area. The Tinguian people dressed their deceased in the fanciest of clothes and put the body on a chair, putting a lit cigarette in the lips after they die. The Benguet people blindfold their dead before placing them in chairs at the entrances of the home. The Cebuano people dress children attending funerals in red to lessen the chances that they will see ghosts.
What? What? Wait.
I don't know. That's all I
If
got.
I, oh, I don't really wear red and I never see ghosts and I'm disappointed.
Well, you're not a child in the Philippines, maybe.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. The Sagada region features coffins hung from cliffs, bringing the souls of the dead closer to heaven. And then people in the cavite, uh, entomb the deceased vertically in a hollowed out tree chosen by the person before death.
That's cool.
Yeah, how do they get them in there? I
A
can't.
crane or a lever.
A lever.
You know who would know? Randy Randall, my best friend.
He would probably come up with a terrible solution for how to get them in there. Anyway,
It would get
yeah,
in there though.
Philippines, way to go. You guys are
You
killing
guys
it
are
on the, you're killing it.
ah. All right.
Episode over. That was
Oh,
the best pun. No, not really. No. Next, we travel to the Amazon rainforest. Okay. The Yanomami tribe. It's 35,000 indigenous people who inhabit 200 to 250 nomadic villages in the Amazon rainforest. They believe that death is an unnatural process that only occurs when a rival tribe sends an evil spirit to their tribe. So, in order to protect the spirit of their dead, they do a ritual to help them pass peacefully into the spirit world. Yes.
I zoned out for 2 seconds. But did that just mean if they died, that was because of an evil spirit?
Yes.
Okay, so do some of them never die?
Oh,
Is that Sasquatch?
maybe. I don't know, because I don't know that Sasquatch lives eternally either. So, I don't know.
Hmm.
They cover their deceased people with leaves after they die, and then they leave the body undisturbed for 45 days. And after that time, they collect the bones, cremate the body during an emotional ceremony. It does not specify whether there are paid wailers or if the wailing is sincere. And then they have mourning and singing to honor the deceased. Okay, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
After the cremation, they incorporate the ashes into a soup made from fermented bananas
Uh,
that's consumed by the entire tribe as a way to keep the deceased person's spirit alive within the tribe and also allow them to pass peacefully into the spirit realm.
bananas fermented.
Fermented.
Do you think your mom would make us some or freeze dry them?
She would,
Fermented bananas freeze dried.
yeah, it sounds like a terrible soup. I'm just gonna be honest. It can't taste good.
It's people soup. I respect the tradition that it is what it is. It also is people soup. I am not
People
quite
banana, which is not the flavor I would choose to go with like a pairing for people. It wouldn't be banana.
How would you know? Have you eaten a person before? Because maybe it offsets it. Maybe it neutralizes it. Look it up right now. Google, and you're going to get 29 notification pop-ups first. But then let me know if
And
you find out.
also some real weird things. Let's see. Pairing, best flavor pairing for human flesh.
Oh my gosh. Anita, I hope that your
Oh,
search history
there. Oh
gets
my gosh, there
like
are a
subpoenaed for some
lot.
court trial someday.
There, sea salt works wonders. That's from an AI bot. What animal could be used for imitation human meat?
Uh,
Pork.
what? Ah, okay.
Wine pairings. Okay, the end.
Nah.
Nah.
All right, I think say we move on. That's weird.
Okay. Did we talk about the
No,
Famadihana?
definitely not.
Fa Famadihana.
Oh my gosh.
Famadihana.
Sorry to everybody that is from these cultures that we
Yeah,
are
I
not
need a
with it.
pronunciation guide.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
I bet AI would tell you. I'm so sick of
So this
AI.
is Dancing with the Dead. So this describes a burial tradition in Madagascar. The Malagasy people open their tombs of their dead every few years and rewrap them in fresh burial clothes. Each time the dead get fresh wrappings, they also get a fresh dance near the tomb while music plays all around. This ritual, translated as the turning of the bones, is meant to speed up decomposition and push the spirit of the dead towards afterlife.
Is this where rolling in his grave came from?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Yes, I'm going to say yes.
I like it. All right, cool.
Okay, Kiribati. It's an island in the Pacific Ocean. Now they're mostly Christian, but before the 19th century, they practiced something called skull burial, in which they kept the skull of their deceased person at home so that the native god could welcome the spirit to the afterlife. After somebody died, their body would stay at home for 3 to 12 days for people to pay their respects. To make the body smell nice, they would burn leaves near it and put flowers in the corpse's mouth, nose, and ears. A few months after the body was buried, family members would dig up the grave, remove the skull, polish it, and display it in the home. The deceased widow, Mel, that's you,
Me.
would sleep and eat next to the skull and carry it with them wherever they went.
I would probably actually do that. That wouldn't frighten me. That
And
sounds
then
fine.
they could make necklaces out of the fallen teeth.
That's also kind of cool.
That's better
I
than the banana human soup.
yeah, I like how these cultures and traditions are not afraid of death and are not afraid of the body and
Yeah,
bones and stuff. It's like it was part of the person and life and death happens. And so I think that's really interesting.
it's so much more personal too. Like we're very removed from it, and it's very like let those other people deal with it. But these guys were like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this my husband's skull back home. The next one you're not gonna like at all.
Uh-oh. Is it
So
like nachos with people on it? Because don't ruin nachos for me.
no, I would never.
Thank you.
It's called sati or suti. It's in a Hindu funeral. The ritual dates back to the second century. During the ritual, the widow immolates herself on her husband's pyre or
Wait.
commits suicide shortly
Okay.
after her husband's death.
Side note, do you listen to the podcast Stuff You Should Know?
I have listened to it,
They
yes.
do one about widowhood. And I had a lot of feelings about it, not because they didn't do a good job, they did a great job, but they did some of these topics where it was that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's like if any of you have listened to some of our episodes where we've interviewed people from Africa or that have different traditions culturally, like inheritance or things like that. They talk about that, but this was one that they talked about on the podcast. Anyway, if you
Yeah.
guys want, go listen to that podcast if you want. They're not paying us because nobody cares. But
I think somebody just posted about it actually.
I had a lot of feelings of like, I was glad that they were bringing awareness to the widow plight. And
Hmm.
also, it was really hard because a lot of the things are so like social justice or international, like especially that stuff where it's like
Yeah,
there's not
it was banned
safety.
in 1861 by Queen Victoria, but some people still believe it's practiced in small, like rural villages. Happened a lot during the British era, the British occupation era in India. And it's considered to be or was considered to be the greatest form of a devotion a wife could have towards her husband. And people who did it were said to have died chaste, which what?
Wait,
And
how?
yeah, I don't know. And that they would have better karma and better life in the next birth if they did that. So it is interesting to think about it in that context. Like if you believe in rebirth, it's not like you're dying, but you're not really ending your life either. You're going to come back. So
Hmm.
kind of interesting. I also read one that was similar to this, and I can't remember where it was, but that the widows would eat their fingers, like bite off
Ow.
a knuckle when their husbands died. I want to say that was in the Caribbean somewhere. I know you're going to be super excited about these ones, Mel, because you have talked to me about these. So, most of us know about Dia de los Muertos, right? So, that's celebrated on November 1st and 2nd. And it's like a very vibrant celebration where families honor and remember the deceased loved ones. We put up ofrendas or altars with photos, candles, marigolds, favorite foods of the deceased, and those stay up for a few days. And if you've seen the movie Coco, you know all about it because obviously it's a documentary.
I've still not seen it.
It's so good, Mel, but
Is
you
it
don't actually.
Disney?
Yeah, you don't really watch, you only watch murder shows. So,
No, I watched Dick Van Dyke. I will have you know, Anita, I have not been watching true crime recently. I'm
Hmm.
proud of myself.
We'll watch Coco. It made me
Okay.
cry. It was so good.
I don't feel like crying. Am I
Well,
gonna?
maybe you won't because you're not a paid Chinese crier like
Okay,
I am.
fine.
So,
I love the Alfrenda.
yeah. And I didn't really ever think of this holiday until Jason died. Like, spoiler alert, I'm not of Mexican descent. But I think it's such a beautiful idea to remember all the people who came before you and to keep the memory alive. So, and it's like the idea is that the spirits come back and they'll eat the food, but not really. They eat like the spirit of the food and come and are able to stay with you for those couple of days. So that was probably very simplistic and not a good explanation from a person who just is learning about it from the internet and not from like my family's tradition forever and ever. So,
Yeah.
okay, Mel. The Obon is a Buddhist festival held in mid-August. It's kind of like the version of Dia de los Muertos, where families honor the spirit of their ancestors, and they do that with lanterns. They're lit and placed in rivers to guide the spirits back to the afterlife. So that's kind of fun.
I feel like that's happened
Mm.
around here.
I feel like
Is
people
that
do
what it
the
is?
the lanterns, but they like send them into the sky.
Yeah. Is that a different thing?
I don't know.
We don't really have rivers.
I know. We just
So
have we just have a desert.
have some dirt.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, sounds pretty. It sounds pretty, pretty,
Pretty pretty.
pretty. Ghana, Mel, you know about this. Do you want to tell everybody about this one? Fantasy coffins.
Yes. Fantasy coffins are awesome.
Tell us more.
I don't really know why they are a thing, but there are people who make fantasy coffins. That's their job, correct?
Think
And
so.
they're not regular coffins. Yes, they fit people in it, but they can be anything. I think Anita needs one. I think I need one. It could be a giant fish and painted bright colors.
Hmm.
It could be a car kind of a shape. It could be anything. Anything. It could be
High-heeled shoe.
yeah, a shoe. For me, someone might be like, "Oh, you wanted it to be shaped like a piano," which I don't, but they would maybe do that or anything. And it's they paint them bright colors. They're really cool looking. And I think that we're missing out and that Ghana has it down.
So what would your coffin be shaped like if you got a fantasy coffin?
Obviously a Sasquatch. What about you?
I was thinking a cotton candy, like a thing of cotton candy would be good for me. So, okay.
Because you're a clown?
No, because I like cotton candy and sugar, and it
Oh,
would be fun. It'd
well,
be
if we're
like
going for
bright.
that, if we're going for something like that too, my other option is I would like them to make a fantasy coffin for me of Lay's salt and vinegar chips. Not kettle salt and vinegar chips.
The
Lay's
regular.
regular salt and vinegar chips.
You know, it would be super easy if they did a Pringles version of the salt and vinegar chips, because then you'd just be in a tube.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll ask Randy to make one for you.
Yeah, he will.
All right, Mel. The voodoo tradition in New Orleans, they have elaborate funeral processions and ceremonies to honor the deceased and guide their spirit. So the jazz funeral involves an entire band
Hmm.
that accompanies the funeral procession. And I think that the um basics is on the way there, they play a sad song,
A dirge
a
is what they call
dirge,
it.
and then on the way back they play like a fun, fast, jazzy song.
My friend that we talked about previously, his name's Courtney, and then we interviewed his girlfriend,
Hmm.
Jazzy. He had a jazz funeral in Salt Lake. And so obviously it wasn't the same as being in New Orleans, but same thing. He had a brass band playing, and it's interesting because in jazz, like say you're a musician And funeral aside for a second, there's a groove called New Orleans Street Beat. Well, it's a New Orleans street beat because drums are really important in parades, right? And then there's something called a second line groove. And what that means is that's second line is the part of the jazz funeral that's after the dirge, like the slow, sad hymn part. So, second line is like the dancing party part. And it's also the name of a groove that drummers play. So if I went to a
Oh,
gig, I'd be like, "Will
interesting.
you just play a second line groove for me?" And they would know what it is. And that's where it came from. It came from jazz funerals.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So this says that they are intermixed a little bit because the voodoo belief and the West African belief is that celebration after death will please the spirits who protect the dead. So, and
Okay.
that kind of makes sense because I think it started when slaves were being brought to the U.S. Like they started to cultivate the funeral that was going to happen, and so it has influence from West Africa and also from the Caribbean and everything that kind of made its way here.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know what? I have some friends of mine that live in New Orleans. They said that even if the people that are just kind of around the area see a funeral going down the street, they'll still join in. So they'll join the parade.
Even if they like don't know the person, they're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh.
So that also means you need to be carrying your tuba at all times
Or you could just dance. My
in
friend
case you
has
need
it.
to join.
He plays clarinet, so he probably does have it at all times. But yeah, isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah, I would not be helpful in that. South Korea has two things. First, Jessa is a traditional Korean ceremony held to honor ancestors on special occasions, such as the Lunar New Year or Korean Thanksgiving. Families prepare and offer food and drink to their ancestors' spirit. I don't know which cultures do this, but I do know that there are some Asian cultures that on their headstones, they will often have food and drink that are just like placed there for like there's some at the cemetery that Jason's in that will often have like food that's rotting, but that's for the person. So I'm not sure
Hmm.
which ones. But and then in Tonga, Fatu, it's a in the South Pacific. A traditional mourning period called Fatu is observed. During this time, families come together to mourn the loss of loved ones, and they have elaborate feasts and ceremonies. I'm not how sh long sure how I'm not sure how long the Fatu period is observed, but I bet it's pretty substantial for how much is going on. Oh, I forgot to tell you the second part of the South Korean.
Oh, go back.
Okay,
Okay.
rewind. This is cool. In South Korea, there's a shortage of space in graveyards, leading to a lot. I think we talked about this actually. Did we?
No,
We didn't?
no.
Okay, well, they don't have enough space to bury their people. So in 2000, they passed a law that requires families to remove the bodies of their dead from their graves after 60 years. And then instead of a decorative urn after their person is cremated, people in South Korea are turning their ashes into beautiful beads. And they're like called death beads,
Oh,
which is kind of rad,
that is
actually.
cool. I
And
want you to make death beads of me.
okay, we got a lot of things going
Man,
on.
yeah.
We got the soup. We got your vinegar, salt and vinegar chip fantasy coffin. Definitely a jazz funeral. There's a bounce house at your funeral. You want to be buried in a tree. No banana soup for you. Anything else that you would like, Mel?
I think tacos are the best food on the planet. I would really love tacos to be there.
Like a
Also,
taco bar? Okay.
yes, an array of cheese for people. Because what I want is I want people, if they are gonna come, I want them to have a nice time, even
hmm
though it's a funeral, and I don't want it to be a sad time. I also don't know if anybody would come anyway, because
I will.
just okay, thanks.
And I shall play the tuba and mourn and
No,
wail for
yes.
$450. You better put that $450 in your will, or I'll be so mad.
Oh, you get all my money. It's
Okay,
fine.
perfect.
Okay, which is probably going to be $450. So, yeah, Kate, growing up, I'm sure you are like me, Anita, and you had to attend many, many weddings.
hmm
I also attended many funerals, but like this is where I came up with the idea for bounce houses because I hated going to weddings. It was just like, let's go stand in a line and like, bleh. I
Mm-hmm.
had to talk to people and they did like shake my hand and I don't like touching and all that stuff.
And
So
it was probably like your parents' people and not even your own people.
it was all of my parents' people because I
Yeah.
was like 10. So
Yeah.
I have
Like
none of my
aunts
friends were
or
getting married, thank
cousins or
goodness.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, when I'm an adult, I'm not going to do this. Or if I do, there's going to be a bounce house and I'm going to set up some PlayStations and Nintendo Switches for all the kids that are forced to come to these. And I would like to just shift that over to funerals because people don't take their kids to funerals because they think it's going to be traumatizing for them. I think that for me, I'm glad that I went to a lot of funerals because it makes death for me not as like something I've then had to realize exists. Like some of my
Right.
friends are 40 and they've never been to one. And I'm like, are you going to be okay? Because you're definitely going to have death in your life. So I would just like it to be a place where it's like, this thing happened. You don't have to necessarily be scared of it. But if you are, here's some,
Tacos.
yeah, and some Nintendo. Go play like some Animal Crossing or
They're going to be like,
whatever.
funerals are the best,
Mm-hmm.
but not really.
And
Just
then maybe
Mel's.
it'll help start some new traditions so that it's not just like, we're scared of death. Let's never talk about it.
In 100 years, somebody doing like a mind cast, because it won't be a podcast anymore. They'll be talking about the tradition that you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope I die before it's mind casting. I can't take any more inputs. I'm already on input overload just from technology.
You don't have to. Mel, that's all of the death traditions that I have found. I'm curious to know if people know of others that we weren't able to find. I bet there are some, but we covered a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And do we have a part four in the future?
I
Maybe. Maybe that's what we're looking for. But here's the deal, guys. If you would like to revisit the other episodes, episode 192 is our Detective Anita cracking the death industry code. So listen to that first. Except for, I guess, if you're getting to this point, you can't listen first. It'll just whatever. And then listen to episode 196, Detective Anita Part 2. And this is part 3. So maybe stay tuned for part 4. We're not sure yet. Good job, Anita. You're a great detective. So good at Google.
I hope you guys are all planning your funerals now and that you won't be in the same position when your person died and they didn't even tell you what they wanted.
Yeah, like they definitely maybe would have wanted a fantasy coffin. And if you want to check out some fantasy coffin situations, obviously you can look on the internet. There's also, if you have, I think it's called Max now, whatever HBO
Oh
was.
yeah, uh-huh.
Conan has a travel show, Conan O'Brien, and he went to Ghana and explored a lot of the history, and that was part of the episode was the fantasy coffin. So you can see him, and they made one for him.
Oh, they did.
He's
Like,
like, and it was oh man, it was pretty awesome. Yeah,
yeah, there's some
Ghana,
pretty cool
you guys are
things.
awesome. Yeah.
We like could just combine a lot of the things and make an epic funeral situation, except for all the laws that tell us we can't do any of those fun things. So move somewhere else.
Yeah. I'll just die
Yeah.
and then I'll haunt people and then maybe that's how
But
we'll
I will
change.
wear red and I will shield myself from your hauntings.
Oh, come on. Mine are going to be fun. If I'm haunting you and if I'm putting that energy towards haunting, you better
Take off
be
the red.
ready to receive it.
All right. Okay. Well, Mel, that's
Yeah.
all I got for you. I hope you have a lovely day and that you don't get brain overloaded anymore today.
Thank you so much. And you guys, please join our Patreon. It helps us to keep going. It's like seriously the only way we can keep things going. So go to
Yeah.
patreon.com/WWDN or
And just go buy us some tacos. It's a one-time donation at buymeacoffee.com/widow we do now.
it might help for my funeral when I need tacos for you all that may or may not come.
Yes. There's a charging station by my house.
Yeah, you can travel here in your electric car. And if you don't want to do any of those things, or even if you do and want to do something else, please write us a nice review on Apple Podcasts and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
Really helps.
It helps us.
All right, Mel. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We're just two young widows and we're trying to figure out widow
We
do.
now. This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it. And my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys, such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.